Oh, as you can see, we're riding solo again. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to our 5K tennis discussion. And today is October 15th. Yay, I remember the date.
I don't know. I think you kind of forgot about that.
No, I remember the date. I know the date really well today.
Let's get down. Let's go. Woo! Starting out with a Ric Flair moment. Let's go.
Do you think anyone knows who Ric Flair is?
Man, if you don't know who Ric Flair is, you're missing a whole lot of flamboyancy in life. Check out Ric Flair. At least a woo! Alright, so today is October the 15th, Tuesday. Seems like a Monday because the kids were out of school yesterday.
Excuse me, sorry.
You know, heck, you don't cough, you don't get off. Let's go! Alright, so we wanted to do a quick show today, in a sense, in between morning and afternoon tennis. And the show actually that we want to kind of get right into has to do with a specific viewer that mentioned just a small, it wasn't even a topic. Can you read, forgive me, just get right to the point. Read what she's hacking a lung up over here.
I had some pumpkin seeds and I think they got stuck in there.
Shoot.
Okay, yes, it was actually from Hitchhiker. I didn't know it was Hitchhiker because he contacted me through Instagram. He has a different name, but it's Hitchhiker. And his question is, were we going to do a show since Medvedev won Shanghai? His exact question was, are you doing a show about Shanghai final and the rise of Medvedev?
Yeah, so what I read this, it was about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. What time does it give you a time there? I was early in the morning.
It was 7:33.
Yeah, okay, so yeah.
But he's in India, so I don't
Great.
his time must be different.
It was perfect for me. I was, I think, about headed out the door to the tennis court, probably. And the what stuck in my head was the nugget of that statement, the rise of Medvedev. That's what resonated with me. So I read it, I didn't think too much about it at the point in time, and, we proceeded on with our fast, I guess, rushed life in a way, at least most of the time, 5 kids and all the students. And so, yeah, we rush a lot. And I read that, and for the last 2 days, has it been 2 days?
2 days, it's been 2 days.
Yeah, so for the last 2 days, I've been thinking about Hitchhiker's nugget. Quote, at some part of that, I think he said the rise of Medvedev. However he got there.
The rise of Medvedev, yes.
The rise of Medvedev stuck with me. So, what I want to jump right into is that's his nugget. Hitchhiker, this is for you, I guess. So it resonated with me, and I started discussing it with Carla 2 days ago, and I said, you know what? There's not really much good tennis, don't hate me, in my opinion, going on right now.
There's a few tournaments going on
Well,
right now.
I mean, in terms of what matters for the Grand Slams or the majors like Australia upcoming, I'm not gonna say whoever wins Basel or Halle or whatever.
Well, there's Paris. That's the last 1,000 Masters.
Well, yes.
And I think Nadal's playing that. So is Djokovic.
Again, whoever wins in Paris probably will not be the person that I forecast to win the Australian Open. But let's look. Let's look at this. The rise of Medvedev. You want me to start, or do you want to start?
Well, I can give some little nuggets and some facts about him. He is 23 years old.
And then also your projections. So you go with your Medvedev thoughts and your facts, and then
I'll go with the facts first, and then I'll go with my thoughts. He's 23 years old. We know he's a tall, lengthy guy, 6'6", 7 career titles. He is now number 4 in the world, which is great. We saw him make the finals at the U.S. Open. He didn't start good off in the beginning of the year. His first Grand, the Australian Open, he lost to Djokovic, which was expected in the 4th round. He did win Sofia Open. That was his title for the year, his first title for that year. Who he beat Fucsovics in the final and defeated Monfils in the semis.
Fucsovics, by the way, the Hungarian, is nicknamed by Carla what?
Iron Man.
There you go.
In Indian Wells, he lost to Lajovic in round 32. Miami Open, he lost to Federer. In Monte Carlo, he beat Djokovic in the quarterfinals. So that was a good match for him, but lost to Lajovic. Barcelona Open, he lost in the final to Dominic Thiem, 6-4, 6-0. Italian Open, he lost to Kyrgios at round 64. The French Open was really bad for him. He lost in the first round to Pierre Hubert Herbert. PH Herbert?
Yeah, Herbert. Isn't he a double specialist?
He's a double specialist, so that was not a good Grand Slam for him. Queen's Club, he lost to Simon. Wimbledon, he did not do so well. Lost to Goffin in the third round. Reached the finals. This is when his career started taking over in the summer. Washington Open, he lost in hard court to the finals to Kyrgios.
Okay, twice to Kyrgios.
And the Canadian Open, he lost in the finals to Nadal. 6-3, 6-0. Cincinnati Open, he beats Djokovic in the semifinals.
Okay, freeze there real quickly. I don't mean to stop you, but we're on the same brainwave. We wrote this. We knew we had to do it in a hurry. She sat at one corner of the kitchen table. I sat at the other corner of the kitchen table. And we were bickering about something we didn't agree on, and so we wrote this in like seclusion, even though we were sitting at the same table.
We were enemies for.
We were enemies.
Like
we were enemies while we were writing this. But let me say that our brains, even though we were like cat fights internally, at the same point in time, that's true. This is true, and I believe in speaking the truth. Woo! Let's get down. Let's go. Come on. Speaking the truth. That's how we roll. Anyway. I forgot what I was saying.
Cincinnati Open.
Oh yes, thank you, Carla.
He defeats Djokovic.
Okay, okay. Now freeze here. Now. Was not it true, or was it true, that during Cincinnati and during the Canadian Open or Montreal, I think it was, there was a flip flop. There was a flip flop, and those players such as Nadal, Djokovic, Federer taking one off, and the other two playing the other, because of again the run through clay, the run through Wimbledon, and now oh Lord, I didn't mean to get religious. I don't even know why I said that, but oh geez, now we got the Australian Open knocking on the door. Maybe we need to take a little time off here. So was it not true that we lost a lot of people early on in Cincinnati? Early on, or did not play whatsoever because of the grind of the season, because of the grind of the tour, and because of the preparation for the U.S. Open?
But he did have some good opponents he beat in that tournament. He has Struff, which we know is a serious player.
Good German.
Rublev.
Wiry, lanky like himself.
Then he beats Djokovic.
Yeah, but
and then he beats Goffin.
Again, the
and he just played Washington Open, lost to Kyrgios.
I didn't think Medvedev's victory over Djokovic at Cincinnati was deserving of a standing ovation, just the same way that I don't think.
Well, he beat him in Monte Carlos.
Okay, did he beat him at a major?
Not yet.
Until that happens, I just have a tough time buying into it.
Well, let's keep talking. I mean, St. Petersburg, he won. He beat your guy, Borna Coric, 6-3, 6-1.
In his own country, good for him. Little home field advantage.
And then Shanghai Masters, he beats Zverev pretty handily, 6-4, 6-1. But then I have some other things. Head-to-head, Federer, 3-0. He has not beaten Federer one time. Nadal, 2-0, faced him at a Grand Slam and lost to him. And lost to him in a Masters. Djokovic is 3-2. So he matches better up with Djokovic. But this has not been done in a Grand Slam. And that's why I can't say this is the rise of Medvedev, because this is the end of the year. The beginning of the year was not so good for him. At the end of the year, we know players are very tired. And to me, it's just like Tsitsipas beating Djokovic at Shanghai. Not until you do it in a Grand Slam, to me, you really haven't proven much yet. Those are the three guys that won the Grand Slams: Nadal, Federer, Djokovic.
So you just indicated that you didn't have too much faith. Maybe I'm not saying this right, but let's say you don't think that Tsitsipas' win over Djokovic and Shanghai. You don't think it was. You applaud it because he's young and coming. But you don't put that much. You take it with a grain of salt, right?
No, I don't think until you guys do it on the mat, until they do it in the mat, until they do it at a Grand Slam, that it will count. So
therefore, what you were just debating with me a moment ago about the Cincinnati victory where Medvedev beat Djokovic, don't you think it's weren't you just a pot calling and kettle black?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Can I say something?
Gosh,
can I say
this
something?
Is why we can't even argue anymore.
Can I say something? Can I please?
I'm not on Medvedev's side. I'm not.
I understand that, but can I just please?
I said he matches better against Djokovic.
Carla just threw a wig in a way about Medvedev beating Djokovic in Cincinnati. True or untrue?
True.
But now you say Tsitsipas beating Djokovic and
it's the
Shanghai.
It's the same thing as
wasn't a big deal.
It's not. It's the same thing is what I'm saying.
Okay, then I agree.
It's the same thing. Tsitsipas has beaten Federer, though, in a Grand Slam.
Yes, at the U.S. Open, right?
He's the only guy, I think, that's been one of the top 3 in a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So to me, Tsitsipas would be a lot closer than Medvedev.
So you're saying that the rise of the sentence that Hitchhiker came up with, the rise of Medvedev, or he actually, do you think, would it be better suited the rise of Tsitsipas?
To me, yeah, because Tsitsipas has been hot from the beginning. Kind of, got tired because he played a lot, and then is doing well at the end of the year. He's more consistent to me.
Well, yes and no. I do think,
but he's won less. Obviously, he hasn't won a Masters yet.
I do think there are a lot of similarities and the negative to both Tsitsipas and Medvedev in a sense of being kind of spastic.
They both look the same. They're lanky guys, right?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do? Let me check time. I just want.
I can do that.
I separated my chair a little bit, so I can't quite. Okay. So all right. So I'm sorry. We usually have one of our 5 kids in here to help out. 4 at school and 1's representing in there. Let's go. What's up, JDP? Woo! JPD 2. He's in there, holding it down.
You can't remember his son's name.
Hey, you try to remember 5 kids' names right off the top. Let's see how fast you can name them. Go.
Jonathan, Christopher, Liliana, Gabriela, Justin Jr.
Could not have done that.
Katana and Roger.
Okay.
Pets, and you.
Yes, we have a
Justin.
cat. We have a cat named Roger. And guess where that came from? All right, so we wrote this segregated. We were split like a big wall, but there wasn't one when we were writing this. So here's what I wrote, Carla, and you can tell me if we share some of the same thoughts. I wrote this. Medvedev, yes, has had an epic end of the year. Absolutely epic. Made a U.S. Open final, 5-setter against Nadal. 4th in the world, 7 titles. 4 this year. We wrote down the same. 2 Masters 1000s, Shanghai, Cincinnati. Suspect, in my opinion, just saying. Not suspect of the wins, but just suspect of the caliber of competition when it came down to playing the likes of Djokovic. Obviously in the U.S. Open.
Well, he got trounced by Nadal at a Canadian Open, so.
Anyway, I'll spare you the rest of the facts because you've already said them and saved you all time, so we're not being repetitive. And I cannot overstress the charisma and fight that he showed at the U.S. Open. Taking Nadal to 5 sets. Again, Nadal is just a warrior and an experienced one at that. And his body is just much bigger. And he just, again, has a little bit more fight in him. And that comes with experience. Very respectable. But just like Andreescu when we started the show, and just like Osaka when we started the show, I gave them both grief. Because until they prove it on the big stage, then I'm not going to buy into it quite yet. This is nothing new for us. I remember going through this with the Capriatis and the Andre Agassi's and gee whiz. The list goes on. But I'm just not going to buy into it yet.
I mean, is there something special about him? Sure. I mean, there was something special. The players that you mentioned, Capriati, Agassi, there was something special about them. You knew they were going to do something really good in tennis.
Okay, so let me go ahead and give Medvedev my grief the same way that I gave Osaka and Andreescu grief. I used to say that Andreescu was out of shape, a little bit overweight. Remember the pictures we showed on the show?
Yeah.
Didn't look good. She has overcome that, and guess what? She won a major, right?
Yeah, she was great.
Look at Osaka. She used to always talk about in her press conferences so dismissive and couldn't look at the camera, therefore showing me no psychological confidence. Kept referring to video games and her Instagram rapper boyfriend there for a while or something like that. But she looks to have shaken that off, right? And look what happens, right? She won 2 majors. So I'm going to give not Zverev, but he could be in here too. But I'm going to give Medvedev a little bit of grief, right? Let's look at Novak Djokovic when he was very young, 18, 19. I was at the U.S. Open. I mentioned this before, and I watched Federer beat Djokovic in the final in straight sets. I think it was 07, and I think it was like 7-6, 7-6, 7-5, something like that, or triple sixes. That's a bad number. But anyway, that was when Djokovic was really lanky and skinny and bony, and he was still a heck of a player. Obviously, he made the final that year, but a little bit more wisdom behind Federer, a little bit more size, and even Federer started off lanky, but he kind of grew into the right side of his body. His left side is still a little lanky. If you ever look at Federer's left arm, geez, it looks like he's never lifted up a nickel with that thing. Just saying. But look at Medvedev now. Is there anything new under the sun, Carl, in the game of tennis where it's really tough to be an older man with an equal game that is stronger and bigger? If they have an equal game, are you going to bet on the lanky guy that might squeak his way through, or 8 out of 10 times is the person with an equal game but a better muscle structure, a better fitness level, going to usually win if it goes the distance? 5 sets, who's more fit and who's not fit?
I don't
with an
know.
equal
I
game?
mean, honestly,
fitness plays a big role.
Fitness plays, but I can't agree with you because Djokovic is kind of the same way. He's built the same way.
Djokovic,
just shorter.
And Djokovic, a lot of you Djokovic fans out there, I know, but Djokovic, when he turned the corner, he started watching his diet. He started taking gluten out of his diet. He's
dedicated to it.
He became dedicated on diet. And if you notice that Djokovic has much more defined muscle structure.
He's he's got like the perfect physique of, like people that do yoga.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, he's mixed martial art. Like you look at him, he's lean. He's lean.
His physical structure, Djokovic, is near perfect for a tennis player at this point.
He's very lean.
And again, I mentioned Sasha Zverev for a moment earlier. Sasha Zverev should listen to this because they fit into the same category. Medvedev has had a more spastic roll through to this end of the year stuff.
Medvedev is a lot more talented than Zverev, in my opinion. He has more shot selections. He thinks out there, and his backhand is not shaky like Zverev, and he has a net game, which Zverev does not.
Well,
have.
okay,
yes. Look at their games. He can figure things out. Whereas Zverev, he just doesn't figure things out.
Zverev, in my opinion, has a confidence issue, and I think it underneath the skin, that's lambasted for sponsors and theatrics on the outside. I think internally, I see Zverev. I see kind of a kid that's still kind of lost, that could gain a lot from physical fitness in terms of getting stronger. And the same thing for Medvedev at this point. I find that Zverev channels his. When these players get into the thick of things with the best in the world, namely the big three, I find that they can't switch it in a double overdrive when it comes down to double overdrive. I find that Zverev tends to pout his way and start swatting balls, and kind of gets aggravated, kind of like our 17-year-old son. If everything doesn't go his way and he doesn't win easily, he gets mad and then just loses because he's mad. I see that in Zverev. I see that same type of poutish behavior. Now, I think Medvedev channels it in a different way. I think Medvedev channels it up to get, mad, not in the same way, though. I think Medvedev channels it to, like, how can I pump up the crowd or get them to hate me, and then I can pump myself back up on that. I see Zverev as a pouter, and I see Medvedev channeling that towards more of an instigator. Again, but I think both those...
Medvedev and Tsitsipas are a lot more similar than Zverev.
Yeah.
They're very similar, except that one has a one-handed backhand.
Yeah.
One has a two-handed backhand.
Look, and then the moral of the story here is I think too much emotion on either side of that is not a good recipe, is what I'm getting at. I think Medvedev, just like Tsitsipas, needs to control the so much getting into it, because sometimes that doesn't always work, and it has to go back to fundamentals, hitting forehands and backhands and court position and meeting the ball out front and footwork and everything else, because sometimes the theatrics don't help. So sometimes too much positive energy is not good. Sometimes too much negative energy is not good. You have to find that happy, steady medium. And I think that right now the big three are the only ones at this point that can do that. Let me ask everyone a question. Who wins, rapid fire, who wins every major next year? Let's start with the Australian Open. Who wins it? More than likely Djokovic? More than likely.
More than likely.
The French Open? More than likely.
Nadal.
For Wimbledon, I would say that Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer.
One of the three. Yeah.
The U.S. Open, I would say Djokovic or Nadal.
That's an open. At the end of the year, it's open. To me, it's open. Whoever's so hungry.
So answer that question to yourself, and then ask yourself: is it the rise of anyone at this point? Could it be the rise of Medvedev, Tsitsipas, and Zverev, top three in the world? Could be, but I think that at some point in time they need to not let the positive energy go too positive, where they get spastic and they're all over the court and they're making terrible shot decisions until all of a sudden it's break point and they lose. And then too much negativity. And let's say with the Medvedev thing, I get it was cool to watch the crowd boo him, and then he gained the respect at the end. But what if he never would have been able to gain the respect of the crowd at the end? Let's say he was negative of the crowd and then he lost. How would that make him feel or look internally from an internal athlete kind of psychology moving forward?
I don't know.
I think
he could be like a Nick Kyrgios.
Well, look where Nick Kyrgios is.
But I think he has a psychologist in his box, so.
Final question. If you had to bet your life on Medvedev or Tsitsipas winning a major next year, if you had to bet your life on it, or any of the other big three, which one would you take?
I do the big three, of course.
You go with the big three. Any major. All right. By the way, I pulled out of the Kremlin Cup. Surely he's worn down and tired. His bank account surely is set at this point, or at least catching up and broke even by now.
Not only that, he's already qualified for the ATP finals long ago. We've got, I think last time you said Zverev qualified, he has not. Only 8 go into it. Nadal, Djokovic, Medvedev, Federer, Thiem, and Tsitsipas. Zverev, Berrettini, Bautista Agut, and Goffin are fighting for the last spot.
Yeah,
they're close in points.
Well deserved. He deserves the shot at the $1 million purse and the extra sponsorship photo shoots. But again, you guys know my feelings on the ATP World Tour Finals. It's again, we'll do shows during
women have it too.
But it's for me it's one of the top exhibitions of the year. Nothing more than that. Everybody gets the the dome and the lights and the show and the music and the introductions and
I looked at the ATP schedule today and wow, that's a crazy schedule. I didn't realize how crazy their schedule is. It's like they never get a rest. Never do. Moving on to WTA for a sec.
Yeah, just roll through it.
Coco Gauff wins her first title at Linz. She was a lucky loser and is jumped now into being number 71 in the world. Guess who she beat in the finals?
Didn't she beat Bertens somewhere?
She beat Bertens in the quarters. Guess who she beat in the final? One of you girls.
Who?
Well, 2 of you girls she beat.
I knew she won her title, but I didn't
She beat Pekovic and she beat Ostapenko in the final.
Well, good for Ostapenko to be hanging around.
Tough for Ostapenko to lose to a 15-year-old.
So, my thoughts on Coco Gauff, way too young. I would not have my 15-year-old daughter in this scene yet. Don't hate me. I love the girl. I love her energy. She's got a great story.
Her mom and her dad are around, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly fine that she's around that scene.
Well, can I explain myself real quick? We've talked about this before. At 15 years old, again, we have 5 children, 2 of them daughters, and we have a 10-year-old. And in 5 years, I get mom and dad are around. I understand that. But sometimes when the globe is also around you, and because she is where she is now, the globe is also around her. I'm assuming she has a cellular device that she uses. I'm just assuming that. My kids, none of them. Well, the 17-year-old does, and I have that personally confiscated because of his attitude on the court yesterday, and I'll have that for a while. Our 10-year-old has something that just calls and texts, and none of the rest of them
10-year-old? You mean a 15-year-old?
15-year-old. The ages run together.
10-year-old don't. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that I'm assuming assumptions can always cause disaster because didn't someone say never assume anything? Anyway, I'm going to assume that she has a cellular device or a smartphone, and that she looks at what haters and vindictive people and what nasty people. Wherever there's a good, there's always a bad. That's just the way the yin and yang works. And I don't know if I want my 15-year-old to write some of the things that say bettors when they bet on a specific team and they lose, how they thrash people. Money is a real tough deal for everyone involved. At 15 years old, standing up and winning $100,000 purses and expecting her to deal with that, okay, she can deal with that. But a 15-year-old mind, I would still have her looking at college. I would still have her looking at maybe playing a year in college. I'm sorry, but if that's my 15-year-old, I want her to learn more about life at this point, and then let's see how good she does after a year of college, and give her time. I think it's a bad recipe. I don't like it.
I disagree with you 100%.
This isn't the 90s where the world is unimaginable about some airplane flying into a building or something.
I disagree
It's a crazy world we live in, and it's
crazy,
highly
but
difficult.
I still disagree with you. You go to college when you're not sure that
okay,
you can make it into the tour.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I hate to even ask a question like this, Carla, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How do I even ask this without just sounding so off? What would happen if something happened to mom and dad and she had to figure out life at this point at 15 years old?
I would hope that she'd have other family members around.
Again, I'm very protective of daughters, and my daughters, and I think at 15 it's too much, too young. I'm sorry, it's not the 90s anymore.
She's not allowed to play too many tournaments. They have to be very selective in the tournaments that they know that.
Yeah, I know that, and I think that's good. I think that's good.
And I think that's good. So in other words, she won here. That doesn't mean that she's going to be allowed to play a lot until she turns a certain age. Is
it too much expectations for her?
I don't think so. I think if you have talent, capitalize on it. You get opportunities one time.
Okay.
People that go to college is because they're unsure if they can make it to the pros.
Okay.
If you are unsure and you're not winning titles, you should definitely
Okay, stop for a second. Women's tour, prior to Amanda Anisimova and prior to Coco Gauff, who was the last very young that had superstardom or was heading in that direction as a junior? Jennifer Capriati?
Yeah, and that's why they made the rule. That's why they made that rule.
What happened with Jennifer Capriati?
She got involved into drugs and other stuff, and that's why
Okay,
they made
now
that
freeze that. Who was another young one? Amanda Anisimova. What happened with her?
Nothing.
I was thinking because they look alike. Kornikova. What happened with her?
Oh,
she kind of got wrapped up in the limelight and being so beautiful. I'm sorry, I meant to say Kornikova. Anyway, what are your thoughts? I think it's too young. Carla, you think she's ready, and that's great. I think about protecting my girls no matter what. I know I would not really be too happy about my little girl reading anything on the ridiculous platforms where comments can come in these days. Anyway, thoughts on that? Comment below. Do we have like some stranger walking in our yard or something? It's kind of an odd deal there. Let me check that out.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, anyway, we got I have to check it out.
Let's just finish the show.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on that? Let's see how. By the way, both of these players, Medvedev and Coco Gauff, traverse next year. Hopefully, there's some limitations on Coco Gauff's schedule.
There is. She's not 16 yet.
How they traverse through the Australian Open heat, the cool, damp clay conditions normally, the sluggish dirt itself, then into the fast grass, and then roll into the heat of the U.S. and the hard courts, and then let's look at it at this time next year, and we'll see if anybody is rising to the occasion yet.
Right.
Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. Real quickly, Roger Federer says that his heart has decided he was playing the Olympics in 2020. Quick question. Is this just one of the things that our minds tell us at middle-aged men that we still think we can do and win, but yet
women think the same way.
It's just a harsh reality that we probably will not?
He can't still, so if he were in outside of the top 50, then I would question that. But no, he's in the top 3, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, well
yeah.
then.
Okay. So
fine.
let me look at this. I'll be 42 years old in November. Carla's 40 now. There are a lot of things that I think that I can still do and just grind it out. Let's get down. But every day that I guess transpires or goes by, it takes me longer and longer to get moving. It takes me longer and longer to get my joints lubricated. It takes me longer and longer to keep going. And then I know once I get going, if I sit down, it'll take me just the same amount of time just to get up, so I just stay on my feet. At 38 years old, Roger Federer, 39 next August if I remember correctly, there's no way that the body can keep up with the mind is all I'm getting at, right?
Sure. You're going to have to have pick your schedule, eat right, sleep enough.
There was a song I heard before, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. The problem with tennis is that when you play something like the Olympics or a major, you're playing every other day or sometimes every day, and at 38, and look, correct me if I'm wrong, Carla, I'm in roughly the same physical shape as I was when I'm 38. I mean, if I took off my shirt and we're in the mirror, the same. Yeah, and I was much younger then. So, but even though physically it's a replica, internally it's not.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
People say age is merely a number. I think age.
We do feel it.
I think age is a number mentally to a certain degree. But I think age physically is definitely more than just a number. All right, so ending the show, our first 5K tennis tournament will be here in Dolphin Island this coming weekend, Sunday, October the 20th, round robin format. I know a lot of you juniors out there that are playing it or watching. Good luck for that. The top 2 players will be splitting the entry fees. So if there's, let's just say, make it easy math, 10 applicants, there's 100, maybe 200 in the pot. We haven't quite decided on 10 or 20, but we'll stick with 10 to make it easier math. But $100, everybody plays everybody. Top 2 will split the pot. Winner 60%, loser 40%. We have YTEX apparel and strings to give out as well to the top 2 and as well a 5K tennis shirt. So be ready for that. We'll talk about more about that in person on Sunday. Can't wait for that. If there is any chance of rain that Sunday, we will come up with another better weekend. But this tournament will go down. The forecast looks good. Let's go! Also, as well, shout out to BDog02 out there. You've been quiet. That's okay, though. My 49ers are...
You quiet him down with your 49ers.
My 49ers are 5-0. So are his Patriots, though.
Yay, I love the Patriots.
If my Niners see your Patriots in the Super Bowl, I'll do a backflip. And I can't even do a backflip. I can do a double front flip with a twist off the high enough high dive, though, and on a wakeboard behind a boat. So I'll try to do that. So anyway, I look forward to the rest of the season transpiring because he made a bet with me on that.
Yeah, that's right. He's been
Homeboy went quiet. Kind of like that dude that told you a long time ago. Some dude told her a long time ago, hey, I bet you a new tennis racket.
Kane
Surbanovich.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard from him since. Brother bet her a new tennis racket.
Hey, I looked for a new tennis racket if you're watching the show, and I picked one.
Yeah, she picked a tennis racket a long time ago. One on sale, even on clearance, just to make it cheaper. She didn't go for the $200 one. She found like a $200 one that was on sale for like $84, like a 2-year-old model. Mm-hmm. His bet was like Djokovic would win the French Open, I think, and then it didn't happen, and he like disappeared.
Birds chirping.
Okay. Crickets were chirping on that bet. Pay your bets if you make them here. Please subscribe, by the way, guys. We have had a lull in subscriptions for a while. We are trying to meet a household goal, and we'll let you know when we meet that. Click like below, by the way. Please share the video. Stay positive, everyone, and we will see you soon. Let's go. Come on. Woo! Ric Flair. Come on. Adios.